In this demonstration, we're going to go over the basic steps to create a 3D house to use with your deck that's been designed with your DeckWorks plugin. So the first step is to go ahead and open a new file. You want to make sure you go File, New, and you want to make sure that you select your DeckWorks template. So once you've done this, you'll notice up top you're in the DeckWorks deck, which is your first floor of your home. You want to move to the bottom left corner of your screen and select your building shell icon, which is the little house, and you want to select your wall. Now this tool is very similar to our DeckWorks Framer tool. Once you left click once, you'll be able to add in dimensions and continue to sketch and draw the back of your house. Something important to keep in mind and take a peek at is up top. You're going to see several different justification options. So right now we're in the left justification. So if we start drawing dimensions and moving this direction around our home, those are going to be interior dimensions. So we want to make sure that we change that to exterior dimensions, because when we measure for the home, you're not measuring from inside of the basement, you're measuring from outside. So go ahead and select the third option. When you hover over it, you'll see it'll say right controlled line mode. Now you can click, and you can also type in dimensions like we did before with our framer tool. So if I type in 20 feet, it'll hold it to 20 feet, and then we can sketch the back of our home. So I'll go ahead and double click. Now that we've created the back of our home, we can copy this by on the Mac holding down Command and pressing C, and on the PC holding down Control and pressing C. And all this does, like I said, is copy it. So from this point, we're going to go up to where it says DeckWorks, Deck, and we're going to change this to Basement. Now, we're going to paste this in our drawing, but we have to be careful here, because if we just do a regular paste, it's going to paste it at our random coordinate. We want to make sure that we paste this in the exact location that our first floor was located. So if you go up into Edit, you want to select Paste in Place, not the paste command. You want to select Paste in Place. Now we want to do the same thing for the second floor. So let's go back up to the DeckWorks Basement, and we're going to select second floor and repeat the exact same process. The Edit, pull down, Paste in Place. Now we're going to switch to our DeckWorks model and grab our flyover tool and rotate this into 3D. You'll see that we've created a first floor, second floor, and our basement level as well. Everything's completely stacked. Now the benefit to this, if we switch back to our top plan view, we're going to go ahead and go back into our basement and add in some doors and windows. And this is going, because we've created 3 separate levels, this is going to add in the doors and windows in the exact location that we want them to be. So if I grab the door, hover over my wall, you'll see your wall will highlight it once the door is locked in there. If I highlight it on a side wall, it'll change the orientation of the door as well. So I'm going to highlight over here, left click once, and as I move my mouse around, you'll see that it changes the justification of the door. Once the door is in the right location, simply left click one more time. Now we can make several changes to this door. If you notice in your object info palette, it's currently 3 feet by 6'8". Now if we change this to an example 5 feet, you'll see that it changes the width of our door. We're currently on a simple swing. We can select this and change this into a slider door. Now we have a slider door. So it's very easy to change and modify all this stuff. You can also, with the 2D selection tool, double click on the door, and you can go into here and change additional options. So if I click on trim, I can include interior and exterior trim. You'll see that our drawing of the door will update over here on the right side. For an example, let's see, lights. You can do the same thing, include side lights, and it changes that stuff as well. And just press OK. Now we're going to grab our window tool. Window tool works the same way. If you hover over the walls, you'll see that it'll actually add it into the wall, and when you're on a different angle, it changes the justification. So you're going to click once again, and then you can either put your mouse on the outside of the house or the inside of the house, and you'll see that your actual window will toggle its justification. So we want to be on the outside of the house because it's looking out. And we'll go ahead and add in a few additional windows here. And that should be good. Now, just like the door tool, you can double click on these windows, and it's going to bring up a dialog box on the actual door, and you can go through all these different options and make any changes. The other part to it is with it selected, you can go in your object info palette, and once again you can change all of your information here. So it's currently 2'6" wide. We can make that 5 feet, and you'll see that it changes the size of the window. Now we're going to switch back to our first floor plan, which is our DeckWorks deck level, and do the same thing. We're going to grab a door, go ahead and add a door in. We're also going to add a few windows in. And we'll add one more over here just to kind of balance things out a little bit. Now that we've done that, we can go ahead and switch to our second floor, and we're just going to add windows in the second floor here. Now we've basically added doors and windows on all of our floors. We're going to switch back to the DeckWorks model. Now when we rotate this up into 3D, you'll see that it placed the appropriate window and door in the correct location. This keeps it very organized and easy to change and modify any windows. Here's the wider door and the wider window that we created on the basement. You can also toggle through your options to create buttons or any trim pieces that you might want to see. Now that we have this, if we render it in OpenGL, you'll see that it's just a basic wall. There's no textures applied. So we want to add some textures. So we're going to go back into our basement level and work from here. Now if we select the wall with the 2D selection tool, you can hold down your Shift key and select each additional wall to make sure that we have everything selected, because we want to add one texture and have it apply one time and not have to go back to each individual wall. So in the object info palette, it'll let us know that we have 5 walls selected. Obviously we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we know everything's selected. From here you want to select your render tab. Now inside your render tab, you need to be careful here. The first thing you want to look at is your part. It's the third option down. It's going to say overall. So if we add a texture at this point, it's going to add that texture to the top. It's not going to add it to the inside or the exterior. So we want to change the part to the right, which is going to be the outside, because that's the justification that we selected in the beginning. So I'll go ahead and select right, and then you have two options here. We can double click on any textures that we have in our resource browser. For an example, we'll pick something completely random just so you can see it show up. We'll select the cedar decking. So I'm going to double click this. You'll see that it'll appear here in this texture box, and when I render this up into OpenGL and rotate into 3D, you'll see that that texture has been applied there. The other way to do this is to select your texture box here and simply scan down and find a texture that you want. So here's a brick texture we can add in here, and you'll see that it changed everything to brick. Now the inside has no textures because we would have want to go to the part, left, and then you could have selected a color here. So if you're doing addition or renovation and you're doing inside and outside work, I can grab a texture. Let's just say cedar for an example here. We'll assume that this is a paint color, and I'll double click that, and you'll see that it applies that texture to the inside of the wall. And then when we go to the outside, you'll see the brick. So the next thing we want to do is go back to our top view, and we want to switch to the first floor. So when I switch to the DeckWorks deck level, I can come into here and repeat the same process. So we simply want to left click all of these different walls, and what I'm doing again is holding down Shift and left clicking each one separately, and you'll see that it says 5 walls selected. We're going to change our part type to right, and we can go ahead into our textures here, and we'll select let's grab a siding here. So let's do aluminum yellow, and then we're also going to go to our second floor, and we're going to repeat that process one last time. So we're going to select all these walls, and we've got a couple more over here to select. There's the last one, and we're going to change our part to right again, and then we're going to add our texture. We're going to go ahead and grab that yellow siding again. Now if I switch back to my model and rotate up into 3D, I'm going to go ahead and render this, and you'll see that it applied the correct textures to the correct levels. So we showed our brick foundation, and then we have our siding for our second and main level of our floors here. Now the last thing in this demonstration I'm going to show you is how to add a roof. So while we're in model view, go ahead and switch back to your top plan view, and we're going to use one of the standard basic Vectorworks tools, which is actually one of the best tools in the program, which is just the polyline tool. So once you select your polyline tool, you want to hover over this start point and you'll see the red dot or the red box appear. Before you click, go ahead and just rotate your mouse back. We want to make sure we kind of include the entire shape of the roof here. So I'm going to left click once to start and then simply go around the exterior of the wall, clicking on all the points, and then I'm going to come up to my top and once again hover over this start point, move my mouse to the right until I get the vertical aligned, and then we can go ahead and click on our start point, which creates our polyline, and also closes it. Now this is the area that we want the roof to be located. We simply want to go into our menus up top and go to AEC, Create Roof. Now this is going to convert that polyline to an actual roof, and there's several options in here. You'll notice there's a number next to each option, and then if you look at the actual image, it references what it's talking about. So we're going to change our vertical to 6 inches. We're going to change our pitch to, let's say, a 512. You can type in degrees, or you can just type in 512 like that. We're also going to change our overhead from a foot to 10 inches and go ahead and press OK. Now this is going to create our actual roof here. If you click on any of these points, you can change options inside of those points. So we're going to change this to a gabled in, press OK, and we'll go ahead and change this other side to a gabled in and press OK. Now the next step is we want to go ahead and change to a front view so we can make sure that our elevation on this roof is correct. So when we move to the front, you'll see that we're going to need to move it up a little bit. There's a couple of ways you can do that. You can, with the 2D selection tool, you can grab the roof, hold down left click, and drag it to where you want it. You can also hold down your shift key and with your arrows, tap your arrows in the direction you want the roof to move, and you can place it in the correct location. Now if I go ahead and render this in OpenGL again, I'll rotate it up into 3D and you'll see that our roof does not have any textures at this point. To add textures with the roof selected, once again make sure you're in your Object Info palette in your Render tab and you want to look at the parts. So it's going to be on overall. We want to change this to top. So we're going to apply a texture to the top of this roof. You can go down in your textures down here and double click one, as well as go into your texture box here, and we can scan through and find one in here. So let's see what we have to pick from that I've preloaded. I'm looking basically for a shingle roof at this point. Here's a roof shake brown. We'll go ahead and add that in and you'll see that it applies it to the top. Now we want to add in our siding over here on this A-frame side so it matches. So we're going to select a new part. It's going to be the walls, and then we're going to select our texture of our siding yellow, and you'll see that it applies that in there. So this allows you to add a lot of detail and be pretty accurate with your drawings and really get a nice view for your customer. And you can draw all the way around the house. You know, for this example, I just drew a little bit of the side and really concentrated on the back. You know, because the point of this project for me was to create a deck, so I really wasn't as concerned with the sides or the front. And then when you zoom in for a view, those angles are not visible. I hope this was a help. If you have any additional questions, you can visit us online at www.designworkscompany.com. You can also call us at 1-888-317-8426.